Alright, King Zuva's been out for a little while now, so how good is he actually? That's what we're gonna answer today by taking a look at each of his signatures, starting with... If you only looked at this move, you'd say he's an SS tier legend in the same camp as Mugi on release. If anything's gonna be tuned down in his first balance pass, it's gonna be Hammer nsig. This move literally has it all. It is incredibly fast, both in its startup and in how much lag it has. I'm gonna whiff it on purpose here just to demonstrate punishing Hammer nsig is very challenging. So if you can't really punish it, then you'll think, okay, well, I want to contest it. But you can't really do that because not only does it have the aforementioned speed, but its priority and reach is also insane. Like, look at this. I'm going to try to hit it right here. Yeah, I wasn't really even in the right range for that, but I'll take it. That range for that speed would be crazy enough as is. But Zuva is a 4 dex character. I'm running the speed stance, which I think is the best stance to run on him right now, which means he's a 3 dexterity character. That is some of the lowest you can get in the entire game, and he is this quick with this little recovery time. It's absurd. Like I said, if we were only looking at Hammer nsig, yeah, he'd probably be top 1 in the game. And here's the thing, I haven't even gotten to the half of it. Did you see how that hit them? They just got suctioned in. Again, that range for that speed, what are we talking about here? Well, I know that guy. And I know that you're as surprised as I am to learn eggsoup got sponsored again, this time by War Thunder. Whether you're on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or Mac, you can play the esteemed military action game War Thunder for free. If you're a fan of tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships, War Thunder has got an arsenal of all the recognizable models and even lesser known prototypes spanning from the mid-20th century to the present. There's a lot of machines, there's a lot of machine customizability, there's a lot of machine playstyles. You hit a plane's fuel tank with your machine and it goes boom. Dance of Dragons is the newest update to War Thunder with a whole slew of new features. You've got the A10 Thunderbolt II, the F111, the BMP Puma, the J10A, the JF17, the JJ Abram, that one's not real, and a whole bunch of improvements as requested by the community. Install War Thunder for free using my link. Nobody else's link. My link. All new players who haven't played before or those who haven't logged on in 6 months or more will receive special bonuses like the P-40E1 aircraft, M4 tank, 100,000 silver lions, 3 premium vehicles, and more. This ends soon, so do it. Use my link, please. Now back to talking about the vortex that is Zuva Hammer nsig. But if that's not all, then what else is there to talk about? Well, the obvious thing. It spikes. This move is a spiking signature. And I realize I have the battle boots right now. I'll grab a hammer as soon as I feel like it's financially feasible and also a smart decision. The move spikes. And not only does it spikes from real far. We'll see if I can show that in this next stock here. Because of the range and because you jump forward, yeah, you're going to be sending at that downward angle real early, way earlier than you may think. I need to hit recovery to live. Okay, we're good. Because you jump quite a distance forward and then send your opponent forward after that, the spiking capabilities are crazy. It's one of those moves that you can just leap off stage with and pretty much end up okay. I should take my own advice. Because of that distance. And that distance means that you can also recovery back. What am I doing? What am I doing? I think this has turned into a travesty. Yes, it has! All I want is a KO with nsig. But I don't know if it's happened. Ooh, a bomb! I can pick up the bomb. I feel like maybe, perhaps, perchance, I did get a little distracted at what the purpose of this video was supposed to be. Hey, I was using nsig at the end. I was going for nsig at the end. You can't get mad at me. Sorry. But as I was saying before I distracted myself, you can use it very well off stage to then get back on stage. And something you may have noticed there, when you collide on the stage, there's gonna be a different version. There's a wall version as well. I've actually hit all 3 of those in this gameplay so far, just have not pointed it out directly, which adds even more to the list of pros that this move has. In all honesty, there is only one con, and that is that it doesn't hit on the ground. But is that a big deal? No, because it's an anti-air spike. It doesn't need to hit on the ground. Like, okay, they were not near off stage. It doesn't need to hit on the ground to be effective. Hammer nsig literally does its job perfectly. It is best in class for a 45-degree angle spike, which sounds like a bit of an obscure scenario, but it's not. That kind of utility is something that every legend in the game wants to be able to wield. It is incredible. You know what's funny? After talking about all the pros of this move for this long, I still haven't found time to mention one of the craziest fun facts about it. It's so fast that you can true combo out of downlight. Now, I'm gonna level with you. This is not really that bad. It's not the end-all be-all of his kit. You have to hit with the very edge of the downlight, so most of the time you're gonna get a dodge window of 2 if you try to do this, which is still unjumpable, to be fair. We'll see if I set this opponent to jump, they're not gonna be able to escape this. This is more so the fact that it's even possible in the first place. This is more so the fact that the move is so fast that you can potentially true combo it even. That just illustrates the strength, because I do not think it should be this fast for everything else it has. It also deals like 25 damage. We gotta move on, because I'm talking about zuva moves that have true combos out of downlight. Then of course we have to talk about Hammer dsig is also insane. It's a two-parter, it has the speed, it has the range. Honestly, a lot of the things that I said about nsig are also true for dsig. So if we're taking a look at him now, he just looks broken. What makes this move in particular so good, and I really made a point of this in my day 1 zuva video, is its unreactable, incredible range. Look at that thing. Because it starts so fast enough to get that true combo, that also means that it can traverse so fast. You see the distance that I'm able to cover. I think, illustrated this very well in that other video, because there were 2 examples back to back of me being in almost the same exact scenario, punishing a Thea about to land. And the first time I was patrolling the center like this, and because she couldn't react to it, I got the KO. And then in an almost identical scenario at the end of the game, she dodged upward trying to anticipate it, because again, you can't react to it, you have to anticipate it, and I got the KO again because of that. Having such insane range that's unreactable forces your opponent to play differently. Think about a move like Core's hammer dsig, where he turns into a ball and traverses the stage. Or think about, I don't know, Cassidy's iconic tornado. Those are balanced out by the fact that they take a while to traverse their distance. And even something like Red Raptor's dsig, although that's a little bit different of an example. They all operate under the logic of this covers a lot of ground, so let's make it take some time to do so. Which is why this zuva hammer dsig, and if you remember Imugi's axe dsig on release, feels so oppressive, at least in the offense category. They are not on board with getting hit by that again. But you'll notice I said offensive power, and there is a reason for that. It's really what sets this dsig and all of his others apart from the nsig. Nsig is really difficult to punish no matter where you are, because he leaps into the air and then he can jump right afterwards. But dsig, on the other hand, if you're anywhere except right in front of him, this does have a good amount of lag. But I do specify not in front of him because, yeah, this move, and in particular the second hitbox of it, is ginormous. It is a bit of a monster. So you gotta be real careful against the dsig, because even if the first hit doesn't connect, that second one might. The first hit, though, also a crazy hitbox, don't get me wrong. So this is just a nightmare when it comes to aggressive capabilities. Which is not a bad thing, but it's a little overtuned right now. Now, I realize the messaging of this video might be kind of, I don't know. I hope it's not coming across as negative. I like zuva a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with him. I think there's some areas that could definitely use a little bit of work. But I mean, when characters are released, of course they won't be able to find out different things that hundreds of thousands of players can with a team of dozens. The reason why I say that now is because a lot of what makes this zuva dsig so good is this immediate lurch forward, and I said that phrase maybe like 4 times in the last video, but it's just really, really neat because the way it moves is unlike pretty much any other dsig in the game. Like, look how far I go out there with that shoulder bump in the beginning. It is fun to use. It feels like it has weight and speed simultaneously. I feel like it fits really with his character's archetype. It feels fluid and strong while also being fast. Like, I like that a lot. So the overall design, which is definitely the hardest part to nail, feels 10 out of 10. It feels great, fantastic. I think just some numbers need to be tweaked around, which is really not that big of a deal. But there is one other thing. Somehow Zuva is equipped with the best spike we've seen in years, and then simultaneously the move that drops the most consistently. You can get it to drop pretty much any time. Like, that was a drop. If I didn't hold it with the right timing, they could just jump out of it. It is so funny how this works. I honestly thought that might have hit from below. Just look at this reverse platform movement. It is wonky. Very wonky. Wait, I know that guy. Give me this sticky bomb. I want this sticky bomb. Give me this sticky bomb. No. Bye. Okay. We're probably both gonna go for this mine. So it's just about who gets the first hit. Nice. I'm scared of hammer nsig. I am scared of hammer nsig primarily. This is what I'm talking about. That move just... it puts you on the edge of your seat. We're not even talking about that anymore. I need to move on. Or do I? Move on to a ceiling combo. More like... how do we get this map? Okay, I promise if it wasn't for Fangwild, I wouldn't have gotten so distracted. This is a dsig section. Yeah, sorry, I just get lost in the sauce. Those games are so fun because we're both goofy, but talking about being goofy, like what? Wait, I'm a genius. I'm a genius. God, it was such an accident too. Okay, now that is a little crazy because this move has this forward momentum. The way that it interacts off stage and off really any kind of completely flat ground, very, very strange. I am almost certainly dead here. Like 99.999. Sorry. It's also a two-part charge sig if you didn't know, which means this first part is a hit and then the second part is the charge. So the first part, no matter what, it'll always have the same startup. The second part, you can charge it a little longer, which means if you charge it a hair of a second, actually G-seeing it and charging it is the perfect timing, as long as, you know, they're not weirdly off stage or anything like that. You can get that optimized. But you can also do it on stage as well, unless it's a map like this, where... they just fall through, because why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't? I'm gonna do that one more time, actually. We'll see. Right to the center of the stage here. I missed my dash. I missed my dash. I guess it's okay. But check this out. This is something that Cassidy can kind of do. Because you go down, you can charge it a little more, and they get sent flying. What in the world is this setup? We're gonna ignore that for now, because I want to show you the weird jank of doing this reverse slide charges. Because you do that forward movement, like, why does it do that? Why did that hit? You see why I'm saying that I like Zuva a lot. He's got some unique little jank here. And I'm always a fan of unique little jank. And I've been using dsig so much this game that I think they're just gonna try to recover high to get out of the range of it. And that's how you can set up your other KOs. He's so good. But I feel like we've already given this dsig the attention it needs. So why don't we move on now to hit? From what I've said so far and what you've seen so far, it's probably no surprise that I consider this move the weakest of his three. But weakest, when it can do stuff like that, is maybe a little bit of a misleading statement. I think if he could only get two of his sigs changed, it would be the two we just talked about. I was zooming there. I didn't even realize I was hitting. Because for as gargantuan this move's range is, it is balanced out by the fact that it has a lot of startup. You can see I actually got interrupted in the startup of my move right there, and it takes a while for this move to come out. You can see you can't really use it on reaction. I try to react to that dodge and do it right as I saw it, but you actually have to pre-fire it quite a bit. So that is, can that hit twice? So that is something you gotta keep in mind when it comes to this downsig. I think they were probably trying to spot dodge it on reaction. A nifty little trick if you're using this is the majority of the startup is when you first press the button, and so if you're charging it, like doing a slide charge or a GC or something like that, you can actually circumvent some of that reaction time stuff by giving it that initial charge already. But then your opponent has more time to react to it, so it should only be in more niche scenarios, sort of like the one I just did where I was sliding off a platform, right? That's not your average everyday dash forward nsig type of thing like the dsig has, for example. And you can see how I had to pre-fire that well ahead of time in reading that early recovery. Now, is this move in the most perfectly balanced state it could be? That was meant to be a downsig, but I'll take it. I don't know about that one. It's certainly close though, I will say. The biggest thing is that it deals like 27 damage while being a gigantic spike. Typically when it comes to utility moves that, you know, do unique things like reversal or spike, they don't deal nearly as much damage or don't have as much force in order to make up for that additional perk. It does have long startup and it is punishable, but I feel like maybe one of those like 2, 3, 4 huge strength categories could be tuned down a little bit. Like, look how far that sent. I was able to get the KO. I hit this like by the tree branch. That's not even close to off stage. But I think it's a pretty straightforward type of thing because you don't want to change the parts about it that are genuinely really fun, and also the parts that really fit Zuva's archetype, who he is as a character. So I don't think they should change his massive leap forward. I think that's really awesome. I don't think they should change that he can suction you in and then headbutt you down from either side. That's what makes it kind of unique. It's what makes you feel like Zuva. So instead, it may be more a matter of let's tweak some damage numbers here and there. Let's tweak some force values here and there. Maybe not too much because you still want to maintain his archetype of being this insane, unstoppable stampede that his character design is all centered on. But when a move like this does have all of those other characteristics as well, sometimes you might need to give that up just a tiny bit for the sake of everyone else. The main point of that, the TLDR, is you just don't want to give up the skill expression of this move, the spacing that you can really take advantage of, the reversal so that you make sure not to send back on stage when you use it, like right there, for example. There's a lot going on under the hood here. No, this is mine. No, this is mine. This is not for you. It's not for you. Seeing as I've clearly gotten distracted and I think the point has gotten across, let's now move on to the battle boot section as a whole is going to be a lot more concise than the hammer one, and I think it's because these signatures feel a lot closer to ideally what you'd see in a post-patch balanced character. I don't want to talk about it. Yep. That's not to say there's nothing to discuss though, I just think it's a lot more straightforward than the other ones. However, with that said, all 3 of these have at least one interesting quirk that you probably don't know about that I want to talk about here. But I'll get into that in a little bit. First up, let's just talk about this nsig because it is kind of a weird one. It's not a bad move, but in comparison to the other nsig, it is very apparent that his sig strength is top heavy when it comes to the hammer. I really want to like this move a lot, but it feels awkward, I guess is the word to describe it. So let's talk about these pros and cons. What has it got going for it? Well, it starts up really fast. This is another scenario of a 4 or even 3 dex character having a rapid fire anti-air. Plus, it has a disjoint where the mask is actually what connects rather than your knee itself, and it deals 28 damage. That is a lot of damage, especially on the battle boots, which don't typically deal all that much per individual hit. Having that kind of damage output on a burst move like this is fantastic. However, it's not all rosy for this nsig. Its biggest drawback is its recovery time. You can see I can just barely jump before hitting the ground, which is not fantastic when you consider this move, for example, where I'm clearing the ground like it's nothing. So you do have to be careful with using this. I think it's one of those moves that's better used sparingly, fewer and further between, rather than all the time. This map also has a ginormous ceiling, so that didn't knock out. But the force actually is pretty good with this move. That's not something you gotta worry about. I mean, it's Zuva. He's got 8 strength. Sorta comes with the territory. For some burst option sigs, it's something you can use all the time. Think about your Lin Fei Cannon nsigs of the world. That is a light attack in terms of startup, a light attack in terms of recovery, and a light attack in terms of how many times you're gonna use it per match. But for a move like Zuva's Boots nsig, you kinda want it to be a surprise that you even have it at all. You only wanna use it in the best of times, because if your opponent is ready for it in any shape or form, they are going to be able to punish you. So you want to maximize your use of the unexpected, because that is going to be your biggest friend when it comes to a move like this. You can see they weren't quite ready to punish it, and I was just barely able to get away. It's those microseconds that really come into play, especially when people get nervous or stressed. So if you have a disjointed burst option that hits at an angle that Boots can't really do on the ground easily, and it deals more damage than a full combo, then you want to be sure you're making the most of it. Make sure you have an escape plan. Like, if you're going for a read off stage, you can fall off stage, as an example. Or maybe you know your opponent likes to dodge up, so you only use it in scenarios where they might do that. Basically, this is a move that epitomizes Zuva's character, his strengths and his weaknesses, because it has immense power, but then it also has drawbacks in terms of how laggy it is. So on the surface, it seems pretty straightforward. Throw it out if you have a read, or if you want to interrupt someone's jump, but there is a little bit more going on here than you may think. Because if we turn on these Omega nerd graphs and hit the nsig, there's going to be a few numbers to look at. We can first see that the base damage is 25, and then it's increased because we have strength, so we're actually dealing 28, and then the variable and fixed force are 55 and 65. That's not too important, it's basically just saying how far are they gonna get sent. But if I back up and only hit with the very end of this move, we can see not only is it dealing 23 damage instead of 28, these force values that were 55, 65 55 are now 49-55. And you can even tell because it's not knocking out. So the King Zuva knee has a sour spot. You hit it early, it's going to deal 28 damage and knock out fairly early. If you hit it late, it's going to deal 22 and knock out a whole lot later. Which is also the case for up close here, 28.6 damage and a whole lot of force. But if I back up and hit with the very edge of it, 23 and also not KOing. So both of these signatures have a sour spot. This is at the exact same damage values, and you can tell just the difference in how far Yumiko is getting launched. I like that mechanic a lot. I feel like it rewards you for having the proper spacing and timing while also still maintaining the range of the move. And I feel like having more SIGs that work that way could be really interesting, because then you could really open up the door. Maybe you want a sour spot on purpose. Like imagine a grab based signature that sends at a different angle whether you hit it late or whether you hit it early. That could 100% be a certain type of player's area of expertise. They could be timing gods or spacing gods. Maybe it's like a tipper mechanic where if you hit at the very edge of it, it sends at those different angles or sets up differently. That would be so cool. That's part of why I enjoy Zuva so much. It's part of why I'm making such an extended commentary on him, because these moves are really so simple. They don't need something like this, but the fact that they have it opens up the door for the future, and that genuinely excites me a lot. It's not like he's the first character or these are the first moves to have sour spots, but it's number one, the fact that he's new, but number two, it's the fact that they are so straightforward. Nsig and dsig could have so easily been ordinary hits where just the full portion of it is that full force. So many SIGs work like that, and it's not like that would be a problem, but he's just a little bit more special because they don't work that way. Having proper spacing and timing matters more here than it does in other similar scenarios, and it's not like it's the most precise, it's not like it's the most in-depth, but it still is something that makes Zuva feel like Zuva. And you do get a big reward if you do hit it in that sweet spot. The damage is nothing to scoff at, the force neither, it's a Sparta kick. I kind of like the balanced philosophy of being extra rewarded for having that good timing and everything like that. Now, the exact numbers on the force, maybe that's something that will change as well, but in general, I like the idea a lot. Otherwise, I think you can probably surmise what makes this move pretty good. Visually, you can tell, and even in his trailer, people are like, okay, this one's gonna be fun. The team really did a killer job with this, making you feel like it has actual weight, the way that you press it and then you build up power and then you go forward so fast. It's almost similar to the other side dsig in that way, although the other one is instant, whereas this one takes a bit of time for it to fully come out. But either way, the move feels hefty in a way that is exactly what you want. But talking about what people want, the final ssig is exactly what I wanted in a Battle Boots kit. So yes, it is time to move on to... The reason why I wanted this move is really simple. Battle Boots are a weapon that hit you up, and this is a ssig that hits you up. I feel like so often with boots, you'll hit people up into the sky, you'll hit them with nair, you'll hit them with recovery, but they just don't get knocked out. But now, if you hit them up, they could just explode. Boots down ssig is very apparently meant to be an anti-air. You can see the disjoint is a little crazy there. And you don't really step forward all too much. You're kind of mostly just in place with this big hitbox above you. But that's pretty great. I think it does its job well. Hitbox being the main strength here. Because it's one of those moves that reaches so high up, you probably want to pre-fire it more often than not. And you can see actually one of the reasons being that it leaves you in recovery time for a while if you whiff it. Like I jumped as soon as I possibly could there. So if you're tracking someone's movement, maybe they're falling down below, that would be a good time to use it, but you gotta be careful. And the reason for this is because Brawlhalla made this move anti-ssig spam by design. If you whiff it, you are stuck for a very long time. But if you hit it, you could even combo off of it. This works with nair as well, but it's really niche. That's mostly just to show that there is a huge difference between whiffing this move and hitting it. Whiffing it, you're stuck forever. It's like you're in molasses, you just can't get out. But if you hit it, you're free to keep jumping, keep dodging, keep chasing your opponent wherever. And that's kind of neat. I like it. I like that a lot. Zuva is an 8 strength character with 4 base dex and 4 base speed. He is supposed to feel like this unstoppable powerhouse offensive truck that is just barreling towards you. And I think this dramatic difference in on whiff versus on hit is a real clever way to achieve that, because it makes it fun to play and also fair to play against. If they whiff it, yeah, you can punish. But you still have to respect it because it has such great range and pretty good speed too. I like this ssig a lot, and it also just looks really clean. So I guess this video ended up kind of just being a love letter to Zuva's design, with all the wacky little quirks like that and all the neat little details contained within his signatures. I'm having a blast with him, so I hope you are as well. Let's close this out with the old classic. Final thoughts, Hammer should probably get nerfed. Boots seem kinda fine. And he is arriving.